According to reports, Bernardo Silva is set to join Real Madrid, and a deal that is very close is what we are hearing. Nedum and Ali Moreno alongside myself, Kay Murray. Bernardo Silva, what are Real Madrid getting at this age from him?
At this age, that feels like he's saying he's a bit too old. But I think they're getting a player who's obviously got a huge drive to win. He's been very successful throughout his career. And he's been trusted, he's been available, and he's played, I think, probably 99% of all the games he could have done for the years he was at Man City, which was a lot of years as well. So I think for Mourinho, having him there, he's somebody that knows he can trust, he's reliable, can play in whichever position you like. And I think with Bernardo as well, he's very good at understanding like game state. Does it need to be quicker? Does it need to be slower? Having an impact in terms of when somebody needs to be taken down, he'll do that. Assisting, you can do that, can score goals as well. I think he's very much a complete player, and for Real Madrid, obviously they've had their issues, but I think this is a player that can potentially help solve some of those problems long term.
It feels like it's the type of player that Real Madrid need, not just in terms of profile, but in terms of what he's achieved and the leadership that he could bring to this dressing room, which is much needed, Ale.
Presence, leadership, respect, appreciation for a successful career. All of those things will be important within that locker room, and I think he'll be a conduit of information between José Mourinho and the rest of the players. I'm going to look at it from the perspective of the players that are already there at Real Madrid. How do you think Franco Mastantuono is feeling right about now? Gone is how he's feeling. How do you feel Arda Güler is feeling right now? It's like, wait a minute, how long? A sort of left-footed midfielder, attacking sort of midfielder that likes to play, that wants to create chances. Isn't that what I'm supposed to be doing? And if they're bringing this guy, and if indeed he has a tight relationship with José Mourinho, and if indeed he's going to be a conduit of information, what's my role? Look, I think Bernardo Silva can be useful from many different perspectives for Real Madrid, but it's also telling you a whole lot about the future plans of José Mourinho and Real Madrid and who may be included in those plans and who may not.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the José Mourinho point is a bigger point to me for those players than, say, Bernardo Silva coming in, because it seems that if José Mourinho is to come in, which surprised many people from the outside, given the fact that only a few months ago we thought José Mourinho was basically burning every bridge possible with Real Madrid, with the Benfica incident with Vinicius Jr. But I think Mourinho's going to be brought in now to be a disruptor. These last 2 years, seeing Real Madrid not lift a single trophy throughout that whole time. I don't think you bring José Mourinho in to say, well, everything's fine, carry on doing things the same way. He will be a disruptor. So I think there'll be players within that group he will immediately take a dislike to, immediately. And to see who will be left will be very, very interesting.
Yeah. Immediately take a dislike to the players that you know are expendable if you're José Mourinho. Because one of the things that I think he has done very well over the course of his managerial career is understanding who he can pick on, who he can go after, who is vulnerable, and who he needs to move on in order for him to have the full power that is required for him to be the manager of a club like Real Madrid. And to your point, Nedum, this team hasn't built any sort of equity over the last couple of years, so they have no say-so, these players, to push back to José Mourinho. He has free rein now to come in and push as far and as long as he wants to push, because this team, well, has earned the reputation of being a group that needs to be pushed. And so here comes José Mourinho. I don't know whether this is going to work. I've said that this would not have been my first choice, but it's going to be entertaining. And for those of us that cover it, it's going to be really entertaining, because there will not be a dull moment at Real Madrid come next season.
Yeah, it's interesting with the José Mourinho point. Obviously, it was the worst kept secret ever. We knew it was going to happen. José Mourinho coming back to the club here. But in terms of that, he is also very smart at picking out players that he can make feel more empowered. We saw it the first time around with Álvaro Arbeloa, players that aren't the star in the team, that he gets on board. Is he going to be able to do that with players in this squad to get on his side?
Stop me if I'm wrong, because I'm not the greatest Real Madrid historian as such, but I think in this moment, having the likes of Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. there, you can try and empower somebody that maybe doesn't have their same rank, but that doesn't necessarily put them on the same level as those two players in terms of level of importance, especially to the dressing room space as well. So I think he'll have to do things differently according to what it was from back then. But I think it's very easy to forget how experienced a manager he is. I think the last, say, 5 or 10 years of Mourinho haven't been the prime Mourinho years as such, but he doesn't arrive in a new space without having an idea of what he thinks will work for that group. And this is going to be the best group that he's probably worked with in quite a while now. So who's to say that he can't be successful? Because you said success. Like, success for Real Madrid, is it the Champions League? Is it domestic? Is it whatever? Well, it's definitely not lifting a trophy again for another year to make it 3 in a row. The standards are so high. And if he needs to empower someone, he will. If he needs to maybe, say, offer something to those star players that we're speaking about in Vinicius, Mbappe's and others, then maybe that's what it will be. But I think he's very clever in terms of his methods. And I think he'll find a way for them to be more competitive.
And that's going to be the priority. What do you do with Vini Jr. and Mbappe? And figuring that out will determine as to whether this team may be successful or not next season. Look, you can empower Arbeloa all you want to, as he did as a player, but with this current group of players, it is far more about Mbappe, Vini Jr., Bellingham. Hey, by the way, Tchouaméni, Fede Valverde, the middleweight champion of the world, Tchouaméni, who took down Fede Valverde, dealing with that situation, that's still hanging over their heads. Beyond that, let me just say, while José Mourinho can empower a guy like Arbeloa, he can also stab him in the back too. He can also, if there is a player that he thinks needs to be sacrificed, that player is going to be sacrificed at the expense of what he thinks is useful to him and to Real Madrid. And there will be players that will be sacrificed because he needs to make a statement of intent and a statement of power. I am the one who's making the decisions. I am running the locker room, not the players.
What does he need to do then, in your opinion, with Vini and Mbappe? How does he need to approach that whole situation?
He has to make it very clear as to what the roles are for each of those players and what the expectations are. And if that means that Kylian Mbappe is going to have to track some runners every once in a while, you need to do it. Now, how you deliver that message, that's the part that he's going to have to be very clever about and very smart about. And that it's not, I'm not forcing you to do it, but I'm going to get you to understand why this is useful to you. I'm going to sell it to you. And I'm also going to sell them on the idea of, you have, on Kylian Mbappe specifically, you have the chance to be an all-time great, a legend of this club. I would bring him a list of players that are legend of this club. You have a chance to be on this list. Right now, you're not on it. And you're not on it because these fans can't get behind you. They can't get behind you because they think that you turned your back on this team late last season. Let's change that. We can change that together. Good Lord. Hey, José Mourinho, you want me to run the team for you? I will.
That's a brilliant point, yeah. That is the point itself. And to mention somebody that I know that was in a different situation, this was Vincent Kompany's vision when he went to Burnley. He said to one of the strikers, you score 10 goals a season now. I want to get you to 15. As a striker, he was like, yeah, I want this. And Kompany says, this is how we're going to do it. It's like, okay, is it going to be finishing? He says, we're going to get you to press better because then when you win the ball back higher, the chances become easier. If the team as a collective win the ball back higher, you create better opportunities because there are fewer lines to sort of break through. And I think for Mourinho himself, like the stuff you've mentioned there about Mbappe and legacy, you know that will matter to him. It has to matter to him. If it's like a Vinicius Jr. legacy, that will matter to them. And it's not to say that, they didn't put the work in last year, but the importance of those little details, which have been criticised for not taking seriously, can really define how they'll be perceived in that space. Because if the fans, pretty much of any football club, believe their players are giving everything, and it's not giving everything just running behind scoring goals, if they believe you're giving everything, they will always get behind you. And I think for Vinicius, for Mbappe, just a little tweak can make it seem like they are, and that tweak means they'll score more goals and they'll be icons of that football club.
It's going to be hot. We will be following it here on ESPN FC.